Right now, I am in Normandy, France, and specifically I'm in the town of Saint-Germain-de-Verville. In the early morning hours of June 6th, in the American sector, the western flank of the Normandy invasion, the 101st Airborne and 82nd Airborne were charged with landing in the night before and basically securing this flank of the landing zone. Now, the 101st Airborne had 3 different landing zones from 3 different regiments that they were to secure. The 82nd also had 3. For the 101st, they had Drop Zone A, Drop Zone C, and Drop Zone D. Drop Zone A is where I am at right now, and it was the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment who was to land here and secure this area. And we've brought an artifact with us from the Gettysburg Museum of History from a 502nd guy who landed right around here on D-Day. Now again, we are in Drop Zone A, and the town that we are currently in is Saint-Germain-de-Verville, and they have a monument here to the 101st Airborne Division, more specifically the Pathfinders. Now the Pathfinders were a group of paratroopers that came in even before the main body of paratroopers to essentially lay out beacons here in Saint-Germain-de-Verville. They put a beacon up in a church tower to guide the rest of the paratroopers in. So here this says, on June 6, 1944, at 0:16 a.m., the 101st Airborne Division Pathfinders were the first paratroopers to jump here in the name of liberty. And one of the more well-known individuals who was purported to be the first American on the ground was this man right here, this cigar chomping paratrooper by the name of Frank Lillyman. But these guys were all in the 502nd.
We're in Saint-Germain-de-Verville in Normandy, France, and I'm here at the Drop Zone A, which was the main drop zone of the 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne. And I want to talk about a trooper named Stanley Medi, who was in 2nd Battalion of the 502nd. And this is his reinforced jump jacket, the Model 42. And paratroopers were issued this type of uniform, and they had modifications done just for D-Day. We're going to talk about them in a moment. But Stanley Medi was wounded on D-Day, and you can see on this jacket there's blood all over it. There's blood here and a lot on the back. He actually broke his foot when he landed, and later on he got shrapnel wounds in the face, and that's where the blood comes from. He was evacuated out fairly quickly, but he did jump on D-Day, and I always wanted to bring this uniform back to the spot. This is one of my all-time favorite D-Day relics, and the reason being is the M42 modified jacket are extremely rare because they wore them all through the Normandy campaign. Most of them were discarded, and most of the ones you see in the collector's world or even in museums weren't really worn on D-Day. But this one we know he wore on D-Day because of the blood all over it. I'm going to turn it around here and show you some of the blood on the back. You can see it here from his face, and down here there's blood all over it. I'm going to also go over some of the modifications on here. Now, the reinforced jacket would have tent material sewn onto the elbows here, and also the pockets were reinforced with tent material. This was done by parachute riggers, and they're, as I said, they're just extremely rare. I'm also going to open it up and show you his name inside, and also have to point out this is the Screaming Eagle patch on his left shoulder with a little bit of blood on it also. So you can see his name is stenciled on the inside here, Medi, S for Stanley, and his full serial number here. Now I also want to point out another interesting feature on the M42 jacket is this pocket right here. It has 2 zippers, and it was at the neck level, so you can put a jump knife in there, a jackknife, so they could cut through the lines of your parachute if you're hung up in a tree. Now, when we got this jacket, the original knife was still in it, and it's back at the museum. I didn't want to carry that on the airplane. So I wanted to show these photos of Stanley Medi, and I obtained these from his family after we got the jacket. The one in this hand is him at Camp McCall, and he has a pair of overalls on. It's not the jacket, obviously, here. And this one in my right hand is Stanley Medi in the middle there with his sister and his mother. And as I said, his family provided me with several photographs, and these are both period photos from the time.
Eric was talking about the blood stains on this jacket, and I just wanted to take a little bit closer look. Now, again, a lot of this is just kind of hypothesizing, but if you look at this up here on the shoulder, it looks like maybe there was blood on his hands, and he just kind of wiped it off there. And then as we move down, here's more on the pockets, and then down here on these lower pockets, like those are just drips right there. And then here on the right sleeve, it looks like, you know, maybe he was wiping blood off of his face using his sleeve or something like that. And then if we turn the jacket over on the back side, well, again, you can see a lot of blood right here along the belt line and all the way up here, like on the back of the neck. So whatever the specific wound was from the shrapnel, just looking at this jacket, you can tell that it was quite serious. Now, you might be wondering what happened to old Stanley Medi. He ended up going back and spending the summer in recovery, actually recovered from all of his wounds and injuries, and was back in action in time for the Operation Market Garden jump in Holland. He fought through Bastogne, fought all the way through Germany, made it to Berchtesgaden at the end of the war, but had a little bit of a rough start right here in Drop Zone A on June 6th, 1944.